in today's video, we're going to get crafty. So I hope you will stay tuned and join me. Hey everyone, it's Melissa. Today's video, like I said, is going to be a crafty one. A little departure from what I usually do, but it is a video that over the years people have asked me would I consider doing it. And so I think I want to now. I'm going to attempt it. I haven't actually done the part. This is the introduction I'm doing first, so we'll see how it turns out. But I'm going to show you how I knit the washcloths that I cleanse my face with. I have done this for years. What I like to do is get my face wet morning and night. Then put a foaming cleanser on there, and the one I like to use is one from Shiseido called the Clarifying Cleansing Foam. I like a foam. Then I like to take these washcloths, and here's one that I knit a long time ago. They last forever. And I like to wipe it up, face and neck, and really concentrating on getting it, my skin lifted. And these washcloths do that. And I'll tell you why in just a second. But I've done this over the years and I've shown myself doing it. And so different times people say, do a video and show how you do it. So that's what I'm going to do. I've always done the lifting and lifting up like this. I learned it from when I was 21 at a Mary Kay party. To look down into a mirror and lift my face up. And I've been doing it ever since then. And over the years I thought, I like washcloths, but I want something a little more. I want something that will lift, grab, but won't irritate. And I know that was a tall order. And I know it's just a washcloth, but it was what I wanted. Once I get set on something, that's what I want. So I started knitting washcloths to give like dishcloths. I started knitting them in different patterns and stuff and giving them away. I would wrap a Christmas present and stick washcloths in there, and people started saying, I really like those cloths. So I knit a whole bunch for myself, and we would use them to wipe down the counters and the refrigerator and things in the kitchen and wash dishes with. And then when I started looking for something just a little bit different from a washcloth, one day I was washing or putting them in the dirty clothes or putting them in the washing machine, and I looked down at one and I thought, I think that's what I'm looking for. I think this is it. After buying all kinds of different washcloths, I think it was right in front of me. And here's the reason why. The way you knit this, you knit back and forth. You don't purl, you just knit. What that creates is a pattern of little tiny bumps. Those little tiny bumps just do great lifting. It grabs onto my skin, it grabs onto the cleanser, it lifts it up, but it doesn't irritate my skin, and it isn't harsh, and it doesn't tear my skin. Like, when I'm peeling from retin-A, it doesn't tear it. It lifts down pretty darn deep from these little bumps. So I was hooked, and I've been doing it ever since, using these washcloths. I knit with a throw, which means I put the needle in and then I do the yarn around the needles with my dominant hand, and then take it off. Another way you can do it, I think it's a continental way. I can't remember the name, but you do it differently where you put the needle in and then dig the thread out and do it off. So it is faster. I did the throw because it was more consistent with me. So that's what I do now. So that's what I'm going to teach you. But there is another method also. And I'll try to remember to put a video down below of the other types of methods, the other type of method that you can do to knit if that's what you would prefer. But this is very simple. This is how I learned to knit, was by throwing. Okay, so here's what you will need. The cheapest 100% cotton you can find out. Don't get a blend, get 100% cotton. This will grip a little bit better if it's cheaper. So don't do something expensive. Get one of those. I got this at Walmart, I think. Probably Hobby Lobby, any craft store that you go to. You can get just on Amazon. just make sure it's 100% cotton. Get a big old bolt of it like this, and you can knit tons and tons and tons of washcloths or dishcloths. These I throw in hot water. These started out a dark green. I put bleach in them over the years. It doesn't matter to me what color it is because I'm the only one that sees it. And that's another thing I want to say. If you're just starting out learning how to knit, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to drop stitches. Do the best you can, and it doesn't really matter. You could still use it. You won't waste it in your learning as you go along. Just knit you a big square, and you can use it because who else is going to see it? You know, you're the only one that's going to see it. And if it comes apart, you know, it comes apart, throw it away and start over again. But over time, you will get so much better. You will find a yarn that you like. You will find needles that you feel comfortable with, and you'll find your own comfortable way of doing it. And you'll be knitting washcloths like crazy. Give them away as gifts. Do 3 of them together like in an off-white and tie some little jute around them or something and tuck them in a stocking, a Christmas stocking, or use them to decorate a package on the outside for Christmas. Get started now. Knit you a whole bunch for Christmas, and people will love them. They absolutely love them. Now let me get down to the specifics of what I do. And the weight is like a medium or worsted weight. That's just a medium weight, not too thin, not too thick, you know, but if that's what you want to do, you can do it too. But I would start out with just a bolt of worsted weight, 100% cotton, cheap. Now, if you'll notice, my knitting needles are on like a wire. These are circular knitting needles. You knit in a circle like that. There's no need to buy these circular needles. I just don't have any of the traditional ones that look like sticks. So just go ahead and get your regular sticks instead of the circular ones. This is just all I have. I like size 6 needles cast on 28 stitches. That makes a rather small cloth, which is what I like. I like just a little square of a washcloth. I don't like a great big one like that because this is the size I like, plus I can knit them a little quicker too and get them off quicker. I don't know how many rows that I knit. I knit it till it gets out to here and I think, that's good enough, and then I cast off. So that's the first thing. I'm gonna put these off this needle and I'm gonna show you how to cast on. That's the first thing we're going to do. Okay, the first thing to do, now this cast on method is not my favorite. It's not the one I usually do. But to do the one that I usually do, which is to knit on, is you need to know how to knit first. So I'm gonna start with a really, really simple way to get your stitches on the needle. It's not my favorite because it makes kind of a weird edge and it's kind of hard to knit the first row after it. But once you get that knitted and go on to your second row, then it is okay. It's just a little fiddly, but it's the easiest way to learn. So that's what I'm gonna do. First, we're gonna do a slip knot. So I'm gonna put the yarn in my palm like this. Then I'm going to hold the bottom part, the non-working yarn. This that's attached to the big ball right here is your working yarn. That's what you work with. So I'm going to wrap this around these 2 fingers and I'm going to cross them. Then I'm going to turn over my fingers. I'm going to take the top yarn and I'm going to tuck it underneath the bottom yarn and pull it off my fingers. And I have a slip knot, okay? So you can tighten it up like that. I'm gonna put that on my needle, okay? And tighten it up. As you can see, I'm taking my 2 fingers, my thumb and my finger, and tightening it up that way, okay? Now I'm gonna turn it over. And the working yarn is in the back like that. And you're going to kind of take the non-working yarn and kind of keep it out of the way. You're kind of done with it. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your working yarn, put it in the back. You're going to take your thumb and hook it around like that. Let me show you again. You're going to take your thumb, grab it. The thumb is on top of the yarn. You're going to bring your thumb around to make a loop. See, you've got a loop here. You're going to go underneath and you're just going to put that on your needle and slip your thumb out and tighten it up a little bit. Not too terribly tight, but you can see you've got that first stitch that you did with the slip knot, and now you've got your second stitch that you just made. We're going to do another one. So we're going to hook our thumb around. It makes a little stitch here. We're going to go underneath, then just slip our thumb out. Do it down, and you can start getting some speed to it if you want to. So you're going to hook it, go from the top underneath where it makes a little X, makes a hoop, put it through the hoop, slip your thumb out. Kind of spread it out and see how tight you've made it. Mine are a little bit tight, so I need to loosen it up a little bit. Like that, and slip it off. Take your thumb, hook it, take your needle, go underneath, there. Let's count our stitches so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to make 28. So let's keep on going. 7, 8, 9, 10. Make sure that your stitches kind of stay like this, where the line is on the bottom, and you can kind of see it. You don't want it all twisted up around this way. You want to keep it straight. So periodically straighten it, kind of do it around. I'm still doing mine a little tight, so don't pull yours quite as tight as I did. I'm not used to using this kind of cast on method. I'm used to doing it a different way, but this is fine. Let me see how many I've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, let's keep on going. Now, I've got 28 stitches going across here. So you can kind of see, you know, that's how wide your washcloth is going to be. Okay, that's just fine with me. So now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the needle over. Okay, and I'm going to take the working yarn and put it back behind here. So it's going to look like this. Now take your second needle and you're going to start knitting. So what you're going to do is, see this, this is your first stitch. There it is, right there. You're going to go into that first stitch, go to the back, and you're going to make an X. There's your X. You're going to bring this yarn from the back, your working yarn. Remember, that's the one that's attached to the big ball here. You're going to take your working yarn, you're going to go from the back into between the two needles. You're going to wrap it from the back in between the two needles. That's very important. And bring it to the front. So let's do that again. You're going to go in the front of the stitch, go to the back and make an X. You're going to go between that X. You're going to bring your working yarn from the back to the middle, crisscross that X, bring it to the front. Now, in between this X, you've got a little hidden stitch. So you want to bring it out into the open and put it on your right needle. So you're going to bring that through like that. Let me do it again. So you've crisscrossed it. There it is. It's right there waiting to be discovered. You bring it through. You're going to take your index finger of your right hand and you're going to push it off and tighten it a little bit. Okay? This kind of I always have a little space right here, which if I cast on the other way, it normally won't have a space, but it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Okay, you're gonna do your second knit. You've just knitted your first stitch, okay? So you're gonna go to the second one. You're gonna go, here's the stitch right here. So have a good look at the stitch. There it is. So you're gonna go in the front of the stitch. And I'll tell you a little rhyme to remember it. I'm just showing you the basics right now. You're gonna go in that little stitch and you're gonna take it to the front to the back and you're gonna make your cross or your X. You're gonna go take your yarn and split up that X, bring it to the front. Then you're gonna take that right needle and grab that stitch that you just made and take it off. So we're going to the next stitch. We're gonna go into the front here. There's your stitch. We're going into the front, from the front to the back. We're making your X. We're gonna split that X and then take that right needle and bring it up where you split it right there, where you use that yarn to split it. Take your right index finger and flick it off and you have your knitted stitch over on your right side. So you're knitting always from the left to the right, from the left to the right. You're bringing these stitches, adding a stitch to them and putting them on the right needle. So let's go ahead and do that across. But keep this, especially this first row, keep it with your tail. This is the tail, with your tail down here. Keep it straight. Go from the front to the back. The soonest that you can learn the other kind of cast on, the better off you'll be. But like I said, it's just more difficult to do, to learn. Okay, you've knit your first row. There you go. So they're all the way across right there. You can see how wide it's going to be. You're going to turn it over. Now, make sure that working yarn is in the back. Make sure your stitches are straight. Your edge is straight through here. And like I said, I'm not the best at demonstrating this. There are people that do it professionally, but just trying to give you some ideas. Okay, take your needle, and you'll probably not have ones with wires. Just pretend I don't have wires, I just have regular needles. So make sure this is in the back and you don't have extra stitches, you just have your stitch right there. You're gonna go from the front to the back, make your X. Make sure you don't get the tail, keep that tail out of the way. And as your garment or as your washcloth gets longer, that tail won't get in the way as much because it'll be down here at the very beginning. So make sure you have your working yarn, put it through the front to the back. There's your X, go in between the X, take your right needle, bring it through and push it off. Now you'll see this is much closer together than that first cast on row was because you've gotten it established, you've got your base established with your knitting. So we're going to do that again and we're going to keep on going. So you can feel that you're going to get into a little bit of a rhythm and you can tighten it up a little bit. Now in the beginning, your stitches are going to be sometimes loose, sometimes tight, sometimes you'll drop them, sometimes you'll have extra stitches. You'll start out with 28, you may end up with 45. That's just the way it goes. But try to figure out what you did wrong. No big deal, use it anyway, or take it all out and start all over again. A lot of knitting is ripping out, and they call it frogging because you rip it, like a frog, like the sound a frog makes. So it's called frogging, to take it out, to rip it out. No shame in that. We all have to do it all the time. Push this up. See how nice that's looking. Now, if you here's something. I had to answer the phone. Okay, so you pick it up. You think, now where was I? And which side am I on? For one thing, the ones that you've already knitted are going to look thicker. They're going to be 1 note thicker. But that yarn is always going to be on the right side, okay? That's going to be on the right side if you're right-handed. So now we're going to start back up again. Take it through, wrap it around, pull it through and off. It's a little rhyme that they use to teach children or, you know, anybody to knit. Okay, so it's in through the front door, run around the back, peek through the window, and off jumps Jack. In through the front door, run around the back, peek through the window, and off jumps Jack. So keep on knitting your row across. Okay, you've got your next row done. You can start to see your bumps forming here. Those are the bumps that are going to exfoliate nicely and pull your skin up nicely. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go off camera and make it to the very end. You know, you could keep track and write down or do a little clicker thing to count how many rows you do, so you'll know each time how many you do to make them uniform. I don't ever do that. I just do it till it looks right to me. But I'm going to keep on knitting to the end, and I'll show you how to cast off and end it and get it off your needles. Okay, it is several days later. I am back fighting a cold, so I may sound a little bit hoarse, but what I did was I got one of my washcloths, and then I laid it down to see about the approximate length. So it looks like it's about 1 row short, so that'll be my cast off row. So I'll show you how to do that. It's very, very simple. You remember how you did your knitting. You start at the beginning of the row, and that's what my washcloth looks like. So anyway, you start at the beginning of the row. So you're going to knit 2 stitches. 1, 2. You've got 2 stitches right over here. You're going to take the bottom stitch and put it over the top stitch and do the top stitch underneath like that. You're going to pass over the bottom stitch over the top stitch. So you've got 1 back over here again. So you're going to knit another one over to make 2. Now you're going to take the new bottom stitch and pass it over the top stitch like that. Okay? Now, you're going to knit, you've got 1 back over here again, you're going to knit another one to make 2. You're going to pass that bottom one over the top one like so. So I think you can see what we're doing here. We're making a line just like at the beginning, we're making one at the end to cast off. Let me do 1 more and then I'll get to the end. Do the bottom, pass the bottom stitch over the top stitch. Okay, I'm going to go all the way to the end. Okay, so now you're down to your last stitch, so you knit it. You've got your last 2 over here, cross it over like that. Let me do this. Cross it over, and you've got 1 stitch left, okay? So what you're going to do is cut you another tail, about like that. Okay, so what I do is I take that tail and I put it over and then cross the bottom over the tail, you know, to put it into here, and I bring it through. Okay, now, here you go. You're done, except now you've got a tail here and you've got a tail here. So one more thing that you need that I forgot to mention, and I will put a little note at the beginning, are these, one of these. This is a plastic one that is cheaper, and then this is a metal one. So it's a dull darning needle. So it's not sharp like a needle, it is a blunt darning needle. So it won't stick you. But it's got enough of a point that you can take the yarn through a stitch. Okay, but you don't want it real sharp like a needle. What you're going to do is you're going to weave in that tail. All right, I like the metal one, but you know, either one's fine. Okay, so you're going to thread the needle like that, and you're going to weave it in. I will pick an edge usually, and just I'll kind of do it through a few stitches like that. Go on to the next stitch. Go on to the next stitch. I'll just weave it through a few of the stitches, or you can weave it this way. You can go up into this stitch. You can go down the next stitch. You can go up a stitch. I do this a lot because it kind of hides behind the stitches and doesn't hurt the end. So you do that about 5 or 6 times. Okay, now you're never supposed to tie knots in knitting, but I do to hold it. So here's what I do. And you know, feel free to do this or not. I'll cut it a little bit shorter. I split it, okay? Can you see I've split it where it's got some threads on one side and some threads on the other, and I do it like that. And what I do is I put one of the threads on a needle, okay? And I'll go into the next little stitch right here, and I will weave, you know, put it in that stitch like that underneath the stitch. So I will bring one of the threads that I split here, and then I take it and tie the other one. It's just 2 little halves of the thread, you know, of the yarn. So it doesn't really create, I just do it, and sometimes I do it twice. You're not supposed to, but nobody else sees it, so I don't care. For any knitters come after me for doing that. Okay, then I cut these ends like that. Okay, then just repeat the process with the other one, and you have got yourself a washcloth for your face. Now that you know how to knit them, go ahead and get started. Knit you some more, knit you a bunch when you get tired of knitting for yourself. Knit some for your friends and for family. They really do like them a whole lot. I did them a lot for a whole lot for a while, and I always got requests, are you going to make us more washcloths for Christmas? Most of the people that I make them for use them for their dishes, and it's absolutely wonderful for your dishes, to wipe your counters and your refrigerator and your stove and stuff, and then just bleach it, throw it in the wash machine and wash it in hot water. But they're great, and go ahead and make yourself a bunch of them. I think you'll really enjoy it and find a lot of peace in knitting. It's a very relaxing hobby. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it so much. Take care. Love you all, and I'll see you soon in a couple of days. Bye-bye.